And welcome to the secrets of a safety dog. All right, we're just going to chat for a minute here. It is 1 minute to 1. I just thought I'd come on a few minutes early and shoot the breeze, as it were. What a great week, where the weekend, the weather was just outstanding. It was phenomenal, I will tell you. Anyways, it is just about 1 o'clock. What are we talking about today on the Secrets of Safety Dog? Today we are talking about maintenance. So it is now 1 o'clock, so let's get on with the show. The Secrets of Safety Dog, and we're talking about maintenance today. So stick around until the very end and I will have a little freebie for you. All right, so a little bribe, if you would. So stick around to the very end. I really thought this was interesting. So we are talking about maintenance, and the most of what I will be talking about today is maintenance, but I just wanted to show you this stuff here because this was really interesting, I thought. This came out in the, at least I got it in my email today from Fleet Owner. Trucking insurance rates, the trends continue to go in the wrong direction. Well, if you read the whole article, I put a link in the show notes below, so you can read it, you can get to it. It's about a 2 or 3 minute read, I would think. But it starts off by saying the insurance industry, now this would be US industry, but the insurance industry in the US at least lost $1.8 billion last year in trucking insurance. So why are your rates going up? Well, your rates are going up because of course, trucking insurance. Sorry, and I'm looking at the wrong camera. How is that, eh? So your rates are going up because of these skyrocketing verdicts. It says that the trucking insurance rates depend on crash prevention, risk mitigation, and company-wide safety culture. So if you don't have a company-wide safety culture, and you're not doing everything you possibly can to reduce losses and have fewer crashes, well, your rates are going to go up. They go on to talk about in Texas, there are verdicts that are hitting $200 million. Well, no wonder the trucking insurance rates can't keep up. Who in the heck saw this? So they go on to talk about nuclear verdicts, and most places consider a nuclear verdict anything north of 10 million. But in this article, they talk about training materials and how important, please listen to me, how important it is to document your training. And it's my belief that you really need to be done with online offerings that are out there. I mean, Carrier's Edge is a good Canadian company. Infinity is a great American company. And of course, my product, Safety Dog, the dog speaks. We all have monthly programs and they're all documented. All right, so if you're not on board with one of the online training programs, you really need to, in my opinion, rethink it and analyze it, and I really believe it'll help you document your insurance. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk to you about. Let me bring up this ATRI study. ATRI is American Transportation Research Institute. Interesting study here. And again, I just got this today, so this is hot off the press, if you would. ATRI documents the scale of nuclear verdicts in the trucking industry. I just find this stuff fascinating. When trucking companies ask, why are my rates going so high, so fast? My shipping rates aren't keeping up. Well, these are some of the things that you might go and understand, and perhaps you could pass them on to your customers, because of course your customers need to know why are your rates going up. So just interesting. And if you've got any comments, please put a note in the chat box there. I'm just going to say hi. I don't know if there's anybody actually watching this today yet or not. We have one viewer so far. Hey, so hi viewer. anyways, I just wanted to do this. As I've said, the Secrets of Safety Dog go live every Monday at 1 p.m. And if you said, why Monday? I'm sorry, but most of my clients don't want to see me on a Monday. Mondays and Fridays, they don't want to see me. So I have the time to do something like this. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm often out with clients. Which brings me to another point. COVID, it is easing up. Yes, I'm going to start seeing clients again. Hallelujah, I get to start billing and surviving, I think. So that is interesting, I hope, at least for some of you. So the ATRI study was, I think, really cool. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, in the news at least, was the ELD, Canadian ELD compliance date must be extended. So Mike Millian from the Private Motor Truck Council is asking that the government extend this mandate. And the main reason he's citing in the article is that or may not know, in Canada, we are having the hardware has to be tested and certified. And this process hasn't even started yet, and we are just a year away from the mandate. So that's Mike's main reason. He has some other reasons. The other reasons I don't agree with, quite honestly. We've had enough notice, and ELDs have been around long enough that I think we should implement them. I do believe they make us safer. I know initially drivers don't like them, but after a few months, I tell you, my customers who have ELDs, the drivers hate going on paper logs now. But regardless, I do feel for the manufacturers, and if the manufacturers can't meet the deadline as laid out by the government, then perhaps we do need to consider an extension. So I just throw that out there. Interesting article, and again, that link is in the show notes below. So switch cameras and get back to what it is that I wanted to talk to you about. In the show notes below, I've put several links, but today, maintenance. Vehicle maintenance, and how do you document your maintenance? So I wanted to get into it. Under the Highway Traffic Act and in the safety manual that MTO releases, and if you don't have that safety manual, you should. I put a link to the chapter that I'm referring to here, and it is all about maintenance. Under the Highway Traffic Act, you need to meet certain requirements and maintenance and inspection programs. You need a written statement. Yes, I actually made notes today. All right, I'm trying to up my game here for these live programs. All right, so you need a written, electronic, it could be written or electronic, but you got to be able to produce it to an officer. An example, a very, very simplistic example would be, I do my maintenance inspections every 30,000 K or every 3 months, whichever comes first. Simple, but you do need one, and it goes on to say that you must maintain a copy of the maintenance program at the principal place of business or other terminal or business address specified by you, but you've got to keep it. And to talk about maintenance, let's talk about your responsibilities as a company. So, of course, you are responsible to inspect and keep the vehicles safe, all the vehicles. You are also responsible to make sure that the employees know the maintenance policy and know how it affects them. So if you have mechanics, for instance, anybody in dispatch, all of your employees, especially the Traffic Act, there's a certain way to keep files, and hint, I've got something for you that will help. And keep your files for 2 years. You got to keep your maintenance files for at least 2 years, and that's 2 years after the vehicle leaves the fleet. So if you sell a trailer, you've got to keep that maintenance file for at least 2 years after you have sold the trailer. If you take a truck off the road, same thing applies. Keep the maintenance file for at least 2 years. All right, lastly, you got to measure the program. So MTO says that you've got to measure it to make sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. And of course, one of the great measurements is CVOR level 2. You got to have a CVOR level 2, in order to be watching to see if you are having your program is frequency issues again. Gosh darn, it'll be interesting to see. I think I'm frozen. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. And again, hardware, software stuff. Inspections, what do you need to know about inspections? You know you've got daily, annual, perhaps even a semi-annual. You've got CVSA inspections and then safety standards. The daily inspection done by the drivers or designated person, most times it is the driver, and the driver conducts an inspection of the vehicle or vehicles before operating them. And that has to be documented. Geez. And the inspection is conducted with the use of a schedule listed. So if you're a tractor trailer driver, what they're saying is you got to use Schedule 1. But there are 6 different schedules. So if you're not a tractor trailer driver or a truck driver, then use the appropriate schedule. And I put a link in the show notes to all the different schedules. So you can figure out which one's for you and get the appropriate one and make sure they're up to date, please. MTO changed their schedule about 2 years ago, I want to say. And carriers are still getting caught with the wrong schedule. So the inspection reports, the daily vehicle inspection reports that the drivers do are good for 24 hours. And driver carries the inspection schedule and the report. You've got to be able to produce both. And I see a lot of tickets and violations for this where you carriers are forgetting to remind your drivers, and you drivers are forgetting to carry both the schedule and proof that you did your daily vehicle inspection. Driver also records on the report any defects that are found, and this is if you're doing a pre-trip, that's 1, and then it's also ongoing throughout the day and at the end. So when you find a defect, you've got to report it. Driver reports this is really important now. Driver reports defects to the operator at the time that they are discovered, and the operator must repair the defect immediately or before the next dispatch and keep records of the repair. Well, before the next dispatch only applies if it is a minor defect. If it is a major defect as found on the schedule, then of course is the imminent threat to safety, and you must repair it before the truck is allowed on the road. So make sure that you're using the correct schedule, carry a copy. Inspection reports serve as communication between the driver and you, the company, and the maintenance department. So these reports are used to verify the inspections, records of defects, and all that kind of stuff. Drivers must carry and produce the reports if requested by an officer. Major and minor defects which are listed on the schedule must be reported to the operator immediately. How many of your drivers are reporting defects as on the Schedule 1 immediately to you? That's what it says. That's what the law says. So make sure your drivers understand it's reported immediately. It's not at the end of the day or when I hand in my report, it's immediately. A driver can drive with a minor defect, okay? But he's got to record that defect and report the defect. The carrier, you, can still be charged. Did you know that? You can still be charged. If your driver's operating with a minor defect, you can still be charged. But if the driver has done his part, recorded it and reported it, the driver shouldn't be charged. And then of course we've got the periodic mandatory commercial motor vehicle inspection, PMVI. Okay, this is the annual. So your trucks, if you're in trucks, it's an annual inspection. Any vehicle that exceeds 4,500 kg has to have an annual. Of course, buses, accessible vehicles, and school buses have semi-annual. So in the way of record keeping, just to kind of wrap all this up here, in the way of record keeping, do keep a copy. The annual is in 3 parts. okay? And 1 copy goes in the vehicle, 1 copy into your file, and 1 copy the garage who issued it keeps it. Make sure that you get all copies of CVSA inspections, or the scale inspections are really important to help you pass an MTO audit. And then for paperwork, MTO, when they go into your file, they want to see that you've got a record of the year, the make, the VIN number, whether the vehicle's owned or leased. I really like first day of operation and first kilometers of operation, because if your maintenance statement is either in days or in kilometers, then you need to know, if you're leasing a vehicle especially, that the vehicle started with 30,000 kilometers on it. So you need to record that somewhere. Whether it's owned or leased, all the records of inspections, the maintenance, the repairs, and a heck of a lot more. And of course, you've got to keep those files for 2 years. Let me just switch here, and hopefully I did that. Yes, I think I did. So you want a freebie. Everybody likes freebies. Let's go to, whoops, let me move that over here. If you go to Safety Dawg, you will land on my website that looks like this. Click on resources. And if you click on resources, and as I said, I think I'm buffering on YouTube, which isn't good, of course, but you get a maintenance file checklist. You can just click name and your email and hit send. And I should get a notification if I turn off my, if I turn that off and close that. Let's see, did it come into my personal email box? Not yet. Well, it's taking a little bit longer. But anyways, it will come into your personal email box. If for some reason, I did this programming myself, so if it screws up, please shoot me an email, chris@safetydawg.com, and I would be happy to share it with you and give it to you. All right. So I think that's it. The secrets of Safety Dawg. Today, what did we talk about? Maintenance and maintenance records. Keep your flipping maintenance records for 2 years and make sure the drivers are doing their daily vehicle inspection reports and notifying you immediately of any defects. All right, that's it for today. Love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have yourselves a wonderful day. As I said, here in Southern Ontario, it is absolutely flippin' gorgeous. Oh, and you can see in the background there, that's my buddy Bruce Outridge. He did that painting. I think that's pretty flippin' awesome. So big shout out to Bruce. Bruce has the Lead Pedal podcast, by the way. And speaking of podcasts, oh, geez. Speaking of podcasts, this week's guest on the podcast was Jody Burness, or is Jody Burness. And she talks about how to protect your CVOR by fighting tickets. Great interview, something I really think you should be listening to or watching YouTube. I didn't put the link in down below, oh my goodness, but if you just go to the Safety Dawg YouTube channel, you will find it. Or, well, I'm still here now that you say that. Let me just come over to here. If you're on my website page here, you can always come to YouTube podcast. And Jody should be at the very top. And yes, she is. So if you want to watch Jody and I, you click on the left-hand side, Safety Dawg on YouTube. If you just want to download it and listen while you're driving, which is a great thing, drivers, you click over here and subscribe on the right side. All right, you can see all the podcast links there. There's the website, and let me just pull that up over here. So you can see I've got quite a few. Jody was interview number 20. I have several more lined up for you, so it's exciting to me. Some great people have blessed me with time on the show. So with that, let me say adios. It's a beautiful day, and love you all. Appreciate your time. Safety Dawg's out.